Hello and welcome to Differential Discussions. I'm Melissa,
And I'm Dave.
and today we're going to look at a different presentation of ALL.
Yes. Yeah, we looked at an ALL previously, and they had I love the word scanty. They had very scanty cytoplasm. So NC ratio was through the roof. It was like a 99 to 1 or something crazy, right?
And the
Yeah.
nucleus was that kind of like smudgy look to it.
Mhm. Yep. So yeah, the nucleus definitely shows some kind of abnormalities, but not blasty, right? Not like the typical blasty pattern that we might see. So Melissa came across this slide that has a kind of a different variation. So we thought it'd be fun to explore this. And
Yeah, and I think during that other ALL video, which I'll link to so that if people want to watch that one, they can. We talked about how there's several different presentations of it where some of the blasts could look more myeloblasty, meaning they have more cytoplasm. The nucleus has more of that soft chromatin, prominent nucleoli, that kind of look to it. And when I was looking through the slides that I have, I found this one and I was like, perfect. This is that other presentation that we were talking about. So here we are.
here we are. Yep.
So we're
So
on 40X. And I think one of the things that we should point out first is the smudge cells.
100%. So we have one, two, three, four, five smudge cells or so scattered throughout the field. So that kind of puts me in like the mindset of like, you know, what's on the list, right? I think of reactive in the most benign sense, possibly a reactive lymphocytosis kind of thing. Moving down the pathology tree could be CLL, right? And then also ALL, AML can have smudges like this too,
Yeah.
right? So it's notable.
Yeah, I think ALL more commonly than AML, but I think any malignancy really you could see them
Right. Mhm.
because, well, they don't read the textbook.
Right. Yeah, they do what they want.
All right,
So
you want me to drop down?
please and thank you. Yes, that'd be good. Beautiful.
And then
So lots of echinocytes, just to put that out there. And we'll evaluate as we go whether or not this morphology kind of holds true or if this is just an area artifact. But so very interesting cell in the bottom of the fields, huh? Um, so Melissa, we would call this like a hand mirror type morphology, right?
yep, yeah. And so what we mean by hand mirror, if I don't know, do people still use hand mirrors?
Fancy people do probably. Really good.
I have one. I use it occasionally, but so basically a hand mirror, what we're looking for are like where you have the round part where the mirror is, and then you have the handle that you hold. And
Mhm,
then of course, your mirror is here.
mhm,
So a hand mirror. And when you look at this cell, it has the hand mirror shape. So
mhm.
when you see hand mirror blasts, that's typical of what you find in ALL.
Mhm. Yep. So this kind of represents is complements that other video well, right? This represents one of the other common um, types of morphological presentations. So yeah, really cool. So we probably will see many more of those hand mirror. Um,
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know. We'll look around and see if we see any other
yeah,
mirrors. We'll definitely see other blasts.
yeah. I hope so.
Yeah. And I think it's just good to look at it compared to a lymph.
Yeah, yep. So that's
And
going to be the challenge here, right? Is what's a normal lymph, and what are our blasts, our ALL blasts?
yeah. All right, let's look around.
We got a neutrophil, a rare neutrophil.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and we got some of those. I mean, on the left there are some kind of scanty cytoplasm cells, right? So even normal resting lymphs, you expect to see some degree of cytoplasm.
Yeah.
That's
Usually.
abnormal to my eye.
Hmm. And the
Um,
other two are bigger, spreadier. They don't have the super prominent nucleoli,
mhm,
but they're still abnormal and they don't look reactive because be expecting to see more prominent angry changes in the nucleus, and just not really seeing that.
Yeah, really missing that basophilia, right? That smacks you in the face. Yeah, and if we look close at the chromatin pattern, there's a lot of like irregularities. I think it's a
Yeah.
broad way for me to describe it, but yeah, a lot of weird shapes.
Oh, very nice.
Now, this is a nice cooperative blast, very blasty type nuclear pattern. We have nucleoli and we have weird kind of different shapes and stuff. A little bit of basophilia on the left-hand side of the cell there, right?
With vacuoles.
With a couple vacuoles. Yep, yep.
It's a mono.
Yeah. End of the video. See you later, everybody.
No,
Yeah.
it's a blast. I just said that because vacuoles, and this is one of the examples of why you can't say if it's vacuoles, it's a mono.
Yeah. That is one piece of evidence. And honestly, not even that strong of a piece of evidence. Vacuoles. I don't put a ton of stock in them. But they can occasionally be helpful, but generally in a slide like this, they are not going to be helpful. There'll be more noise than signal. But yeah, good looking blast.
Oh my gosh, look.
What? The elusive band. Like, so one
Actually,
of my
not like a bad
it's not. Yeah.
example.
No, it isn't. And this would be what this not it might be worth the click of a picture maybe. But yeah,
I already did.
what's that?
I already did.
Yeah. It's always way ahead of me. Yeah, Melissa and I tend to fall into a spectrum of morphologists that are very conservative and we can't talk conservative in calling bands. We look for a characteristic and a perfect presentation, and this one's got all those pieces. But yeah, cool. And more of our blasts. And I'm bring up my annotation tool here. I'm trying to pay close attention. So like I'm curious as to what's going on in the bottom of this is the worst arrow ever. What's going on in the bottom of that cell? That looks like a piece of nucleus kind of jutting out. Is that right? Yeah.
It looks
So
it's hard to tell when it's squished on the red cells like that.
yeah, definitely. So I'm looking at that. That's abnormal. Although like the you want to be careful about making a judgment, especially in a vacuum when a cell's being pushed and kind of pulled. But I don't like that personally. I don't like the little almost vacuoles in the nucleus in that cell as well. That I find really troubling. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
So seeing blasts, even if this was the first one, I would be highly suspicious of malignancy with that particular cell.
Yeah. I mean, given the context of what we know on this slide, we can safely say, yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if we weren't sure, yeah, this cell would make me,
Definitely. Chin scratcher.
scratch it.
And then the bottom cell, I really don't like how little cytoplasm that's visible.
Yeah.
And I think I see some nucleoli.
There. There's definitely one prominent one in there. Let me see. It's right over here.
Yep. So I'm a little troubled by that. And of course, the evenness and the staining of the nucleus as well. So looks like blast for me. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. And this one's almost like kind of wanting to do the hand mirror thing, right?
Yeah.
There's just not a ton of cytoplasm.
Yeah. This one right here.
Yep. And then it looks like a couple of nucleoli in there. I feel high confidence in that cell being a blast.
This one.
Yep.
Yep.
And I kind of want to talk about this one. This one's the star of the slide. So like the abnormality that's going on in the top of that cell there. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. And this one's great because there's 1, 2, 3 nucleoli right there.
Yep.
And then you've got this giant.
I don't even know what to call it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what it is either. Maybe it's a giant nucleoli.
That's like, I think the word that if I had to like attach to it would probably be that, but it's really indeterminate. But it's just a very unusual thing for a nucleus to do.
Yes.
So, so yeah, that's an easy blast
Yeah.
right there. And then bottom right, darker and everything. I don't know. I get an itchy blast finger right now. It's kind of tough to see detail,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think I kind of get into a mode where if you're a normal lymph, you better prove it to me at this point.
Yeah. He's not proving it.
Right. So I think he fails that. But like if this was the only cell I saw, the first cell I saw on the slide, I might just kind of make me kind of get in the zone, but I wouldn't necessarily say blast right away. But I would blast that given the context.
Agreed.
Oh,
Ooh.
cool. It's like a mini hand mirror. Oh, we got two. So we got two more of those hand mirror type um, morphologies. Very cool.
Yeah. This one down here, let's start here. It's got a
Angry.
really prominent nucleoli here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's interesting because like this right here is not a nucleoli. It looks like it's more of like heterochromatin.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost looks like this cell has two eyes and one is winking.
I love it.
But yeah, definitely a really prominent nucleoli. And then over here, this one has a nice prominent nucleoli here. But then if you look, it almost looks like there's a cliff here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's got that same, it's not quite as like, I don't know, fuzzy looking as the last cell with that space, but it's still that same sort of space. That's, what are we looking at? Is it a lobe? Is there, what is going on?
Yeah. So for viewers and everything, careful eye to the way the stain is interacting with the nucleus. Don't just blame the stainer.
Yep.
Take that as an evidence piece. That's inconsistent. And then I guess the hardest cell in the field would be on the left there.
Yeah.
Looks really, really dark and looks like there's a lot of heterochromatin possibly there. I'm not sure how you see it on your end.
Trying to see if there's a nucleoli.
That's what I'm looking for too, because
There might be, but it's not quite as prominent or it looks more remnanty to me. It looks
yeah,
like there's like a thing here, but it doesn't look like a nucleoli.
right. So I'm in the same boat. So I might be more on lymph on this one and just move on.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right.
But definitely chromatin pattern on ALLs is kind of challenging
Very
sometimes.
challenging. Yeah. Because the other thing too is you don't, I mean, you do to an extent, but you don't want to hem and haw over like a cell.
Absolutely. Can't agree with you
Especially if
more.
it's like a new, like if this is a new ALL that you're sitting at the bench and you just find, you're gonna do a count, you're gonna leave it for the path, and they're gonna flow.
Yep.
And then you're gonna know there's X% of these cells.
Yep.
And so, him and Han over a cell, if you're within the variability of your count, right? Like say flow tells you there's like 35% and you're at 37, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, virtually identical numbers,
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, this happens, right? Where you get, oh, Melissa, you got 45% and I got 35%. It's like, who cares? Let's just move on with our lives. So cool cell here,
Yeah.
and kind of demonstrating that staining variability in the nucleus. I kind of covered it. Damn. But yeah, we see that area that's staining. Thank you. Very irregular pattern. I would say very much consistent with a lot of the blasts, the malignant cells we're seeing.
Yep. Agreed. And the echinocytes are very consistent.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad we've circled back around to that. So, absolutely 4 plus, 10 plus, whatever your highest plus is. This looks like it fits the max echinocyte call,
Yeah.
which
It's
is kind of
also,
strange. That's not usual.
no, it's not. unless the patient's in renal failure
Right. Yep. Yep. So
or
uremia.
or if it's an artifact. But if the
Yep.
whole side being an artifact,
Yeah, I'd be surprised personally.
and then there is a schistocyte.
Uh-huh. I've seen a couple of schistocytes, but they've been sort of rare. I mean, I think overall it probably doesn't get called in most circumstances. Let me correct myself. It shouldn't get called in in most SOPs, but they're rare. They're available. Oh, I love it. We've gotten really lucky with the hand mirrors, I
We
think.
have,
So we have
yeah,
another really good cell showing us that hand mirror.
yeah.
Look.
I mean, the other thing too is a lot of these blasts are significantly larger than the red cells.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because
Yeah, so for what the size should be for a lymphocyte, they're large, right? In the grand scheme of blasts, they're obviously small, but yeah, size is kind of cluing you in to lymphoblast here.
yeah, I think it's if you're not paying attention to that though,
Mm,
you might just think, oh, whatever, it's just a big lymph. So you still have to pay attention to chromatin
absolutely.
and the cell. But overall, these cells are larger than resting lymphs are.
Yep. Yeah, ALLs are probably the hardest to like get precisely right on the blast count. Beautiful cells. Beautiful cells.
Yeah.
So we have a weird abnormal vacuole down here.
Yeah.
Um, we
Looks like there
have,
might be one here too.
yeah, we go. So we got multiple vacuoles,
Oh no.
and even in the corner here, but big butt here. The thing I can't get over is that the variable staining in the nucleus, like these like shapes that are
Right
kind of
here. Yeah.
developed.
This
Yeah.
whole area.
Yep. Very, very unusual, consistent with malignancy. And then its partner in crime next to it, demonstrating a lot of those irregular patterns.
Yeah. Right
Mhm.
here.
That one's so prominent, it almost looks like folding and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if people play with the fine tune, I'll try playing with it.
Mm.
You should be able to tell that it's not folding and that it is heterochromated. I don't
Mhm.
know how well people will be able to tell on here,
Mhm.
but that's the way that you're gonna know if it's a fold or not.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's tough, but these are three-dimensional objects, and you can there's some differential in elevation, I guess, is that where you can kind of tell that something's maybe higher or lower set.
Now we're getting into geography.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
Hmm.
let's go find. Oh, oh, look at that nice hand
There's
mirror.
so many.
Look at that
This
one
is a
right
pick
there.
your own hand mirror. Yeah.
Gorgeous. I think the
It
other
is.
thing too with these lymphoblasts is they don't all have like quite that same smooth chromatin pattern. I think the really odd staining is very prominent in these lymphoblasts.
Agreed. Hmm. So take what they give you, right? Like, you know, not every morphological scheme is going to line up neatly. This particular patient's presentation, use those details and then
Mhm.
apply it as you go. So I say it all the time, but like be ready to reset your diff and start over again when you discover more things.
Yeah. Well, and you'll get into like once you're actually working on the bench, you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, this is Joe Schmo's blasts. Once you get to know the patient population that you're working with, because each patient is going to have slight variation to their cells, and so you'll get to know, Joe Schmo's blast.
Might as well be the person's face to
Yeah,
us, right? Yeah.
exactly. We can tell by their cells.
Yeah, really cool.
All right. Let's find one more field where we've got something exciting. Oh, this is a really nice hand mirror to end with, I think.
Beautiful. Yep. Beautiful. And some like heterochromatin in there too, right? So but I'm gonna put a lot of weight on the hand mirror kind of
Yeah.
presentation, and that staining, the way that these nuclei are staining and those patterns. That's going to do a lot of work here.
Smudgies.
Yep.
So you know something abnormal is going on.
Right.
And
Yep.
some of the cells do look very blasty.
Yes. Yes. I think it would be, I think even an inexperienced person or relatively inexperienced person, by 50 cells deep, you should be seeing that's cool.
I think the other thing that I would call is, like we said, the echinocytes. We'd call whatever the highest 3+4+ that you call your semi-quantitative method. And then the only other thing to point out is that it is an ALL, and we haven't seen very many platelets.
Right. Yep. Severe thrombocytopenia.
Which makes sense.
Yep. Lines up.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for this video. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for your time.
Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you'd like notifications whenever we post a new video, and feel free to reach out to us on social media or via email with comments or suggestions about future content. Thanks.